Did you know that many hospice nurses can sense when someone is close to dying? It's not magic. It's years of quiet, careful observation, subtle patterns that show up again and again. And while every person's passing is different, these 5 signs almost always appear in the final days of life. This isn't a topic we like to think about, but for many of us in our 60s, 70s, and beyond, we've already walked through this experience with a spouse, a sibling, a friend, or a parent. And knowing what to expect doesn't just help us prepare emotionally, it helps us honor their final chapter with more calm, compassion, and even gratitude. So in this video, we're going to share 5 powerful signs that hospice nurses say show up again and again before someone passes. These are not medical textbook theories. These are the lived patterns from the people who sit at the bedside. Hold hands in silence and witness the quiet details that families often miss. And if you're caring for someone right now, or even thinking about your own journey ahead, these signs may give you peace of mind, a clearer understanding, and maybe even a little more courage. Let's get started. Sign 1, withdrawal from the outside world. One of the first things hospice nurses often notice is how a person begins to quietly pull away from the outside world. It's not sudden, it's subtle. A little less talking, a little more time with eyes closed. Phone calls go unanswered and visitors are met with a soft smile but fewer words. It's as if the person is slowly turning their attention inward, towards something we can't see. This isn't about being sad or depressed. In fact, many hospice nurses say that withdrawal feels peaceful, even purposeful. Think of it like a dimmer switch, not a light that suddenly shuts off. There's a gentle fading happening where the noise and needs of the world start to feel less important. It can be confusing or even hurtful to loved ones, especially when someone stops eating, stops responding, or seems uninterested in what's happening around them. But from the nurse's perspective, this is actually a sign of the body and mind beginning to conserve energy for what's ahead. There was a man named Walter, 84 years old, who had always been the life of the room. Stories, jokes, laughter. But in his last days, he asked for fewer visitors. He kept the blinds closed. He didn't want music or the television. When his daughter asked if he wanted to watch their favorite show one more time, he just smiled and said, "Not today." That's all. Hospice nurses reassured her that this wasn't rejection, it was reflection. Walter was gently stepping out of the room without saying goodbye. Psychologically, this phase is about detachment. Not coldness, detachment. It's as if the body knows what's coming and starts preparing in a quiet, private way. And sometimes the most loving thing we can do is sit beside them without needing anything in return. Sign 2, changes in breathing patterns. Another powerful sign hospice nurses often witness is a noticeable shift in breathing. It may start with longer pauses between breaths, shallow inhales, or even rhythmic patterns that don't feel quite normal. This is called Cheney-Stokes breathing, and while it can be startling to family members, it's actually a common part of the body's natural winding down. The breathing might sound labored or irregular. Sometimes there are stretches of silence, then a sudden deep breath, as if the body forgot for a moment. To a loved one watching, it can feel scary, like something is going wrong. But nurses who've sat beside hundreds of people in their final hours often say this isn't a sign of pain, it's a sign of transition. The body is doing what it knows how to do. It's slowly letting go. I remember a woman named Dorothy, 79 years old, who had been a choir singer most of her life. She once said, "Breathing is the music we don't notice until it changes." In her final week, her breaths came like quiet waves, sometimes quick, sometimes far apart. But in those moments, her daughter would just sit beside her and match her own breath to her mother's, soft, calm, steady. It brought peace, not fear. Physiologically, this change happens because the brain's signals to the lungs begin to slow. The body isn't struggling, it's simplifying. No more effort than necessary. Psychologically, some experts believe this is the body's way of drawing attention inward, slowing the world down, creating a rhythm that leads towards stillness. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Sign 3, withdrawal from the world. One of the clearest signs hospice nurses often speak about is withdrawal, not just from conversations or activities, but from the world itself. It's not a rejection of loved ones. It's more like a soft turning inward, a quiet preparation for departure. You might notice an older loved one sleeping more, or keeping their eyes closed longer. Even when they're awake, they may not respond to things they used to care about. The TV might stay off. The phone might go unanswered. It's not that they're upset or unaware. Often they're simply less interested in things outside their own thoughts or feelings. Their focus has shifted from the outer world to something internal, something we, on the outside, may never fully understand. Take James, for example. He was 84, a retired train engineer, who used to tell the best stories about cross-country routes and strange passengers. In his final days, he grew quieter, sometimes staring out the window without saying a word. His granddaughter once brought him a toy train, hoping it would spark a memory. He smiled faintly, touched it once, and then closed his eyes. "That chapter's over," he whispered, and he meant it with peace, not regret. Psychologically, this withdrawal can serve as a buffer. It helps the person conserve energy. But more than that, it's a signal that they are turning toward acceptance. In hospice care, this phase is respected, not rushed, not interrupted. It's their time, their space. And giving them that space can be one of the kindest things we can do. Families often want to keep their loved ones engaged, talking, eating, watching old shows. That's a normal instinct. But what hospice nurses gently explain is that stepping back can be an act of love too. Holding a hand in silence, being present without forcing presence, that's how we honor the transition. And for many, it's not sadness that fills that silence, it's softness. A soft letting go, a gentle closing of the book, one page at a time. Sign 4, unexplained surge of energy. This one often surprises families, and sometimes gives them hope that their loved one is getting better. But experienced hospice nurses know this sudden burst of energy can actually be one of the clearest signs that the end is near. It's called the rally, and it can be powerful. A person who hasn't spoken in days might suddenly sit up and ask for a favorite meal. Someone too weak to move might reach for your hand, or suddenly start talking about old memories, as if they just happened yesterday. To the untrained eye, it looks like a recovery. But in reality, it's often the body's final wave of effort, like the last glow of a candle before it goes out. What makes this moment so emotional isn't just the energy, it's the clarity. Many people who've been confused or restless suddenly become lucid. They say things they've been holding on to. They ask for people they haven't mentioned in years. They sometimes express deep gratitude or give last bits of advice or forgiveness. I remember George, a 79-year-old farmer, who'd been mostly unresponsive for 3 days. Then one morning he opened his eyes, asked for coffee, and told his son to take care of the apple trees in the south field. They needed more sun. He smiled, cracked a little joke, and asked for his favorite song. That evening, he passed peacefully in his sleep. From a psychological standpoint, this rally may be tied to the body's adrenaline or final chemical responses. But emotionally, it gives families a gift. One last connection, one last exchange of love or laughter. The key is not to get caught in false hope. It's not a sign that things are reversing. It's a sign that something sacred is happening. And if you're lucky enough to be there during that surge, just be there. Listen, be present. Say what you need to say. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Sign 5, change in breathing patterns. When someone is close to death, one of the most noticeable changes happens in how they breathe. It's not always painful, but it can be startling if you've never seen it before. Hospice nurses are trained to spot these changes early, and they've learned to interpret them not as something to fear, but as the body's way of slowly letting go. The most common pattern is called Cheney-Stokes breathing. It's a rhythm where the person breathes deeply for a short while, then stops for a few seconds, then starts again. To someone unfamiliar, it may sound like they're gasping or struggling, but in most cases, they're not in distress. The body is simply adjusting. The breathing becomes more irregular, slower, and eventually more shallow. And this can go on for hours or just minutes. Another sign is what's called the death rattle. It's a wet, gurgling sound that happens because the person can't clear saliva or mucus from the throat. It may sound frightening, but hospice nurses often reassure families that the person is not choking or suffering. They're usually not aware of it. At that stage, most people are in a deep, relaxed state beyond discomfort. Nurses may adjust their position or use medication to ease the sound, but the main goal is comfort, not control. I remember a woman named Carol, 82, who had been unconscious for 2 days. Her daughter sat beside her the entire time. Then one evening, Carol's breathing changed. It slowed down, paused, then started again, just once or twice more. Her daughter held her hand the whole time. That quiet rhythm, though strange, gave her a chance to say goodbye gently. She later told me it felt peaceful, like watching a tide slowly roll back into the sea. Breathing changes are often one of the last signs before death, but they're not something to panic over. They're nature's way of helping the body transition. As hard as it is to watch, it can also be a time to lean in closer, to whisper love, offer peace, and be fully present. That simple act of being there, calmly and lovingly, often means more than any medical measure. Final thoughts. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you. This isn't an easy topic, but it's one we all must face, either for someone we love or one day for ourselves. Knowing what to expect doesn't remove the sadness, but it can bring a calm confidence, one rooted in understanding rather than fear. Hospice nurses say that death in many ways is like birth. It has its rhythm. It comes with its signs. And just as a newborn takes its first breath into the world, the dying take their final breath out of it. Neither should be rushed. Neither should be feared. Just held gently, lovingly, and with grace. If you've been beside someone during their final days, you know what a sacred moment it can be. The quiet hours, the touch of a hand, the stillness that follows. It's not about doing something heroic. It's about being there. That presence, your presence, is the most powerful comfort anyone can offer. So whether you're preparing for what lies ahead or reflecting on what's already passed, I hope this video gave you something to hold on to. A little more clarity, a little more peace, and a whole lot more compassion. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.